Iran rebuilds its war machine as U.S. bombs fail to break Tehran. Did Washington just underestimate the Islamic Republic's staying power? Tehran's drone factories are roaring back to life despite U.S. Israel strikes. Have years of sanctions only made Iran's military industry more resilient? U.S. officials now watch in panic as Iran's missile force rises from the ruins. Was the massive bombardment little more than a temporary setback? Trump's Operation Epic Fury seems to be fading fast as Tehran rearms at shock speed. Has the show of force actually backfired by hardening Iran's resolve? With Mojtaba Khamenei signaling defiance, is he quietly getting ready for round two while the ceasefire buys precious time for the IRGC to reload? Reports say Iran has already restarted drone production during the ceasefire, quietly bringing assembly lines and repair facilities back online to replace war losses and expand its fleet. U.S. intelligence now believes Tehran is rebuilding its weapons arsenal significantly faster than early post-strike estimates suggested, forcing analysts to revise their timelines. American officials say Iran has already exceeded the initial reconstruction schedules that Washington drew up, demonstrating high resilience and pre-planned redundancy in its military industry. According to these assessments, Iran is actively replacing missile sites, launchers, and key weapons facilities that were destroyed or damaged during the war, often dispersing and hardening new locations. One U.S. assessment now warns that Iran could reconstitute much of its drone capability in as little as 6 months, restoring a core pillar of its long-range strike and proxy support strategy. Despite early U.S. claims of severe damage, fresh intelligence reporting indicates Iran still retains meaningful ballistic missile capabilities and was not disarmed of this option. American assessments suggest that a large share of Iran's missile launchers survived, meaning the country can still fire salvos if conflict resumes at scale. More detailed estimates now say roughly 2/3 of Tehran's launchers remain intact after U.S.-Israeli strikes, underscoring the limits of even intensive air and missile campaigns. Reports add that some buried or hardened missile launchers were located, dug out, and recovered during the current ceasefire, then prepared to return to operational status. Intelligence also indicates that thousands of Iranian drones, estimated at nearly half of Iran's total pre-war drone capacity, are still available for use. Analysts note that Iran's coastal cruise missile network along its shoreline remains largely untouched, with launch sites and support infrastructure still functional. Because of this intact coastal network, Iran retains the ability to threaten or disrupt commercial and military shipping traffic transiting the Strait of Hormuz if tensions spike again. U.S. intelligence assessments further allege that Russia has been helping Iran rebuild after the strikes, including with technical know-how and possibly components. American sources also claim China has continued supplying Iran with missile-related components, despite sanctions and Western diplomatic pressure. Echoing these concerns, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has publicly accused China of assisting Iran's missile production, framing it as a strategic challenge for Israel and its allies. An Iranian source told RIA Novosti that Tehran still possesses advanced weapons that have not yet been used. Iran warned those weapons are ready for deployment if the conflict escalates once again. President Donald Trump said Washington remains prepared for further military action if negotiations collapse. Trump, however, said he was willing to wait a few days to give diplomacy another chance. The latest negotiations focused on ending hostilities and preventing a broader regional conflict. Talks also continued over Iran's nuclear program, sanctions relief, and wider regional security guarantees. Major disagreements still remain over uranium enrichment and the future of Iran's nuclear capabilities. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu insisted Iran's uranium enrichment capabilities must be dismantled before any final agreement. Netanyahu warned the conflict cannot truly end while Tehran continues retaining nuclear infrastructure. Meanwhile, President Donald Trump claimed Netanyahu would do whatever I want him to do regarding Iran.
What have you said to Prime Minister Netanyahu about Iran and how long to hold off on strike?
He's fine. He'll do whatever I want him to do. He's a very good man. He'll do whatever I want him to do, and he's a great guy. To me, he's a great guy. Don't forget, he was a wartime prime minister, and he's not treated right in Israel, in my opinion. I'm right now at 99% in Israel. I could run for prime minister, so maybe after I do this, I'll go to Israel, run for prime minister. I had a poll this morning. I'm 99%, so that's good. But no, he's a wartime prime minister, and I just don't think they treat him well.
Mr. President, what do you do?
I think they have a president over there that treats them very poorly.
Meanwhile, Iran tightened monitoring systems and expanded control measures across the strategic Strait of Hormuz. President Donald Trump says the negotiations sit on a borderline between a lasting peace and renewed conflict, warning that the outcome could go either way. Trump adds that an agreement could arrive very quickly, possibly within the next few days, as negotiators work to close remaining gaps. Iran spokesman Esmail Barkai confirms Tehran has received Washington's latest proposal and is carefully reviewing the terms before responding. The new U.S. proposal reportedly demands tougher nuclear restrictions from Iran in exchange for the phased release of frozen Iranian funds. Barkai reiterated Tehran's position that any deal must include the release of frozen assets and the removal of shipping restrictions, calling those points non-negotiable. Pakistan has stepped up mediation efforts, dispatching senior officials to Tehran twice in the past week to help bridge differences and keep talks moving. On May 19, President Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu held a tense phone conversation about a developing regional proposal. The discussion focused on a new plan involving several Arab and Muslim mediators, Axios reports. That framework was reportedly drafted by Qatar and Pakistan, with backing from Saudi Arabia, Turkey, and Egypt. The proposal would formally end the war by arranging a US-Iran letter of intent to de-escalate hostilities. It would also launch a 30-day negotiation period to resolve disputes over Iran's nuclear activities and shipping routes. According to Axios, Netanyahu strongly opposed the framework during the call, warning against the terms. Israeli officials say Netanyahu argued military pressure should continue rather than offering concessions to Tehran. Bibi remained skeptical, pointing to previous negotiations with Iran that repeatedly failed, Israeli sources say. Meanwhile, Iran's parliamentary speaker Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf accused the US of preparing conditions for another war. Ghalibaf warned Tehran would deliver a forceful response to any future US or Israeli attacks. Those threats came as Trump announced he had called off an attack on Iran at the request of Arab leaders.
How to respond after you said yesterday you're about an hour away from making a decision. Where does that stand today? Have you heard anything from them?
It's right on the borderline, believe me. If we don't get the right answers, it goes very quickly. We're all ready to go. We have to get the right answers. It would have to be a complete 100% good answers. And if we do, we save a lot of time, energy, and lives, most importantly.
How long will you wait?
Could go very quickly. Or a few days. It could be a few days, but it could go very quickly. Iran is a defeated nation. We're dealing with some people, and I must tell you, we're dealing with some very good people. We're dealing with people that are, I think, far more reasonable than the people that are really no longer with us. We're dealing with some people with talent, with good brain power, and we're pretty impressed by it. So hopefully those people will make a deal that's going to be great for everybody.
Are you getting tired?
But I don't know. Do I get what? I never get tired. But what I like to do, if I can save war by waiting a couple of days, if I can save people being killed by waiting a couple of days, I think it's a great thing to do.